Cancel everything. He said it out loud before he even realized it. The room went quiet. His assistant froze. Wait, what? He turned the laptop toward her and pointed at the screen. Every single order from today. Cancel it. She stepped closer, confused. Why would we do that? These are our biggest clients this month. Because if we don't cancel it, he said slowly, we're going to lose them permanently. She stared at him like he had just lost his mind. But we just confirmed all of this yesterday. I know. And you approved everything yourself. He didn't respond immediately. His jaw tightened. Then he shook his head slightly. No, I didn't. She blinked. I watched you. You sent the messages. He let out a dry laugh. Not amused. Not even close. That's the problem, he said quietly. I didn't. An hour earlier, everything had still felt normal. Busy, but normal. He had been reviewing numbers, planning the next phase of growth, thinking about scaling the business even further. Things were finally working. After months of grinding, adjusting, failing, learning, it was all starting to pay off. More clients were coming in. Better deals. Stronger reputation. The kind of momentum you don't want to interrupt. Then the email came in. At first, he almost ignored it. Another client message. Nothing unusual. But the subject line made him pause. We're disappointed. He frowned slightly and clicked it open. The message was short, cold, direct. We agreed on a completely different structure. The sudden changes you made were unprofessional. We won't be moving forward anymore. He sat there for a second, staring at it. Sudden changes? He opened the previous thread, scrolled up, and that's when his stomach dropped. There it was. A long message, detailed, firm, completely changing the terms of the deal. Sent from him. He read it once. Then again. Slower. No. I didn't write this. He leaned back slightly, rubbing his face. Did I? For a brief moment, he doubted himself. Maybe he had written it late at night. Maybe he had been tired. Maybe he just forgot. But something about it felt wrong. The tone wasn't his. The wording wasn't his. It was too aggressive, too careless. That wasn't how he handled clients. Especially not important ones like this. He scrolled further. More messages. More changes. More decisions being made in his name. His chest tightened. Okay, what's going on? That's when he called his assistant in. And now here they were, standing in the middle of the office, looking at something neither of them could explain. You're telling me you didn't send any of these? She asked carefully. He shook his head. Not a single one. She crossed her arms, thinking. But they came from your account. I can see that. And the timing matches when you were working yesterday. He exhaled slowly. That's what makes it worse. She looked at him. What do you mean? He hesitated. Because he wasn't sure how to say it yet. Wasn't sure if he even believed it himself. It means, he started then stopped. He glanced back at the screen. Then away again. It means someone had access. The room went quiet again. This time, heavier. More serious. Access, she repeated. Like, hack. He didn't answer immediately. Because there was one detail he hadn't said out loud yet. One detail that was sitting at the back of his mind, getting louder by the second. He knew exactly who had access. It hadn't always felt dangerous. Back then, it had felt normal. Natural even. Because the person who had that access wasn't just anyone. It was his friend. They had built everything side by side. From nothing. No connections. No shortcuts. Just ideas, effort, and long conversations about what life could look like if things finally worked. You know what's funny? His friend had said one night, leaning back in his chair. People think success is complicated. He had smiled. Isn't it? No, his friend said, shaking his head. It's just consistency. Most people quit too early. He had nodded slowly. So we don't quit. Exactly. That had been their mindset. Simple. Focused. Unbreakable. Or at least, that's what it felt like. His friend had always been around. Not just physically. Mentally. Strategically. Involved. He knew the business almost as well as he did. Sometimes even better. You're too close to it, his friend would say. You need someone who can see things from the outside. And he believed him. Because most of the time, he was right. When things started getting serious, his friend stepped in more, helping with decisions, looking at numbers, giving advice. "You're growing fast," he said once, scrolling through the dashboard. "At this rate, you're going to burn out." He laughed. "I'll manage." "No, you won't," his friend said bluntly. "Not if you keep doing everything yourself." "So what are you suggesting?" His friend looked at him, calm, certain. "Let me help you properly." At first, it was small things. Reviewing client conversations, giving input before deals were finalized, helping structure offers. Nothing major, nothing risky. Then came the suggestion. "You should give me access," his friend said casually. "Not full control, just enough to step in when needed." He hesitated, not because he didn't trust him, but because it felt like a big step. "You sure that's necessary?" he asked. His friend shrugged. "Not necessary, just smart." "How?" "You're scaling," he said. "More clients, more moving parts. If something goes wrong and you're not available, everything slows down." That made sense. "And with access," his friend continued, "I can fix things instantly. No delays." He thought about it. It did sound efficient, safe, logical. "You trust me, don't you?" his friend added, half smiling. He didn't even think twice. "Of course I do." So he gave him access. Emails, client communication, parts of the back end. Enough to help. Enough to support. Enough to be involved. At the time, it felt like growth. Like leveling up. Like building something bigger together. Back in the office, he leaned against the desk and crossed his arms. His assistant was still watching him, waiting for an explanation. "You said someone had access," she said carefully. "Who?" He looked at her. For a second, he considered saying it, just putting it out there. But something held him back. "Just someone I trust," he said. She frowned. "You trust someone who might be doing this?" "I don't know if they're doing it," he replied quickly. "But you suspect it." He didn't answer. Because the truth was, he didn't want to suspect it. He turned back to the laptop and stared at the messages again. The tone, the decisions, the timing. It all pointed somewhere. Somewhere he wasn't ready to look directly yet. "Cancel the orders," he said again. "Cancel the orders," he said again, more firmly this time. His assistant hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Okay." As she walked away, he sat down, elbows on his knees, hands clasped, thinking, replaying, connecting. And for the first time, he stopped making excuses. Because deep down, he already knew. He didn't call him. That was the first thing he decided. No impulsive confrontation. No emotional reaction. No accusations thrown without certainty. If he was wrong, he would destroy a friendship for nothing. And if he was right, then this wasn't something to handle carelessly. That evening, his friend called him instead. "Bro, how far? You've been quiet today." He picked up on the second ring. "Yeah, just been busy." "Busy or stressed?" his friend asked lightly. He forced a small chuckle. "Same thing these days." "I told you, you're doing too much alone. You need to let me handle more things." There was a pause. A very small pause. "Yeah," he said slowly. "Maybe you're right." "I'm always right," his friend laughed. "So what happened today?" He leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. This was the moment. A simple question with a complicated answer. "Some clients were complaining," he said carefully. "About what?" "Changes to deals. Messages they said I sent." "Oh," his friend said, tone shifting slightly. "That's weird." "Yeah." "You sure you didn't send them?" There it was. Direct. Casual. Almost too casual. "I checked," he replied. "I don't remember sending any of it." Another pause. Then his friend spoke again, slower this time. Could be a glitch or something." "A glitch?" "Yeah. These platforms mess up sometimes. Messages get duplicated, edited, weird stuff." He nodded slowly, even though his friend couldn't see him. "Maybe. You should check your account security though," his friend added. "Just to be safe." "I will." "Don't stress too much," his friend said. "Stuff like this happens when you're growing." "Yeah." "All right, I'll hit you later. And bro, if you need me to step in and handle anything, just say the word." "I will." The call ended. He sat there for a long time after that. Phone still in his hand. Screen gone dark. His mind replaying every word. Especially one. You sure you didn't send them? It wasn't what he said. It was how he said it. Too quick. Too ready. No, he muttered under his breath. I need proof. Not feelings. Not guesses. Proof. The next morning, he started quietly. No announcements. No changes that would raise suspicion. Just observation. First, he checked login activity. Carefully. Scrolling through timestamps, locations, devices. At first, everything looked normal. Then, he noticed something. A pattern. Access at odd hours. Not extremely late. Not extremely early. Just times that didn't match his routine. Times when he knew he wasn't online. He leaned closer to the screen. Zoomed in. Okay. He grabbed a notebook. Started writing down timestamps. Cross-referencing them with his own schedule. Where he was. What he was doing. Who he was with. One by one. The pattern became clearer. And heavier. Later that day, he called one of the clients who had complained. Hey, I wanted to clarify something, he said calmly. About yesterday? Yeah. The message you received. Can you describe it to me? The client didn't hesitate. It fell off, he said. Honestly, I was surprised. That didn't sound like you. What do you mean? You were aggressive. Like you didn't care if we walked away. He closed his eyes briefly. Did anything else stand out? Yeah, the client continued. You mentioned a detail we never discussed before. His eyes opened. What detail? A pricing structure change. But it wasn't something we agreed on. His grip tightened on the phone. Can you forward me that message again? I already did. I know. Just resend it. A few seconds later, it came in. He opened it immediately. Read it slowly. And there it was. That detail. Specific. Clear. And completely unfamiliar. I never said this, he whispered. That night, he went deeper. Pulled up older conversations. Compared writing styles. Tone. Word choice. Phrasing. At first glance, it all looked like him. But the more he read, the more differences he saw. Subtle, but real. He leaned back, exhaling slowly. This isn't random. It was deliberate. Careful. Someone was trying to sound like him. And doing a good job. But not a perfect one. He thought back. To conversations. To moments that didn't seem important at the time. Let me see how you usually respond to clients, his friend had said once. Why? So I can learn your style. If I ever need to step in. He had handed over examples without hesitation. Laughing even. Study it well. Oh, I will, his friend had replied. Now that memory felt different. Heavy. Uncomfortable. 2 days passed. Then 3. He kept watching. Tracking. Collecting. And the more he looked, the clearer it became. Every suspicious message. Every altered deal. Every mistake. Happened within a window of time. A window that matched one person's availability perfectly. By the 4th day, he stopped questioning it. Stopped doubting himself. Stopped making excuses. He sat alone in his office, staring at the notebook in front of him. Pages filled with notes. Times. Screenshots. Connections. All pointing in one direction. He picked up his phone. Scrolled to his friend's contact. Hovered over the call button. His thumb stayed there for a few seconds. Then he locked the phone and dropped it on the table. No, he said quietly. Not yet. Because now it wasn't about suspicion anymore. It wasn't about figuring out if it was him. It was about understanding why. And more importantly, what he was going to do next. He stood up and walked to the window, hands in his pockets, looking out but not really seeing anything. Why would you do this? He murmured. Jealousy? Money? Control? None of it made sense. Or maybe it did. His friend had been there from the beginning, seen everything grow, watched everything become real. But it wasn't his. Not really. And then a new thought hit him. Sharp. Uncomfortable. What if this didn't just start recently? He turned back quickly, sat down, opened his laptop again. And, this time, he went further back. He didn't like what he was about to find. He knew that before he even started. But he opened the older records anyway. Scrolled back weeks, then months. At first, everything looked clean. Normal conversations. Agreements that matched his memory. Nothing out of place. For a moment, he almost felt relief. Maybe it really did just start recently. But then he saw it. A small inconsistency. Buried deep in an old thread. A client he remembered clearly. A deal that had almost fallen through before somehow being saved. He opened the conversation. Read it slowly, carefully. And there it was again. A message sent from his account. That didn't sound like him. Not as obvious as the recent ones. More subtle. More controlled. But still off. He leaned closer. Heart beating a little faster now. No way. He checked the timestamp. Then checked his calendar. That day he had been out. Away from his laptop. Busy with something else entirely. Yet the message had gone out anyway. His chest tightened. That means... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. This hadn't just started. It had been happening for a while. Quietly. Carefully. Small changes at first. Barely noticeable. Easy to ignore. He scrolled further. Another thread. Another client. Another message that didn't feel right. Then another. And another. It was like a pattern revealing itself piece by piece. Not chaos. Not random mistakes. Precision. Timing. Control. He sat back slowly, staring at the screen, trying to process it, trying to understand how long this had really been going on. How long have you been doing this? He whispered. Then something clicked. Not all the changes had been harmful. Some had actually helped. Closed deals faster. Adjusted pricing in ways that benefited the business. Improved outcomes. That's why he never questioned it. That's why it went unnoticed. It started with help. Then slowly, it shifted. His jaw tightened. So this was never about helping me. It was about positioning, learning, gaining control. He grabbed his phone again, opened his friend's contact, stared at it. Longer this time. You really thought I wouldn't notice, he said under his breath. But instead of anger taking over, something else settled in. Calm, cold, focused. He locked the phone again, placed it down gently. All right, he said quietly. Let's finish this. The next move had to be careful, precise. If he confronted him now, he'd deny it, delete evidence, disappear from the situation. No, that wouldn't work. He needed something stronger, something undeniable, something that would force the truth out, without giving him a chance to escape it. That's when the idea came. He leaned forward slowly, a small, controlled smile forming on his face. Okay, he muttered. Let's see how far you're willing to go. The next day, everything looked normal. He made sure of it. He called his friend. Bro, I've been thinking about what you said. What did I say? His friend replied casually. About scaling faster, taking bigger opportunities. Finally, his friend laughed. You're listening to me. I might have something, he said. Oh, a big client. International. Serious money. There was a slight pause on the other end. How big are we talking? He hesitated deliberately, then said, if it works, it could double everything. Silence. Just for a second. But, enough. Okay, his friend said, tone shifting slightly. Tell me more. He did. Carefully. Strategically. But not completely. He changed details. Subtle ones. Important ones. Pricing structure. Timeline. Certain conditions. Things that only his friend would hear. Things that didn't exist anywhere else. I haven't told anyone else yet, he added. Good, his friend said quickly. Keep it that way. I will. When are you planning to move on it? Soon. Still finalizing things. Let me help you structure it, his friend offered. You don't want to mess this up. He almost smiled. Yeah, he said. I'll send you some details later. The call ended. He sat back in his chair, exhaled slowly. That's step one. Now he waited. Not nervously, not anxiously, patiently. Because, if he was right, it wouldn't take long. 2 days passed. Nothing happened. 3 days. Still nothing. By the 4th day, even he started to question it. Maybe I was wrong. Then his phone buzzed. A message from a competitor. Someone he knew. Not close, but aware of each other. Competitor. Heard you're working on something big. Interesting approach. His eyes narrowed. He replied slowly. What do you mean? The response came almost immediately. The international deal. The pricing model you're using, bold move. His grip tightened around the phone. Say it, he whispered. Not sure I'd structure it that way, but hey, good luck. That was it. That was everything. Because the pricing model the competitor just mentioned didn't exist. Not publicly. Not anywhere. Except in one place. One conversation. With one person. He stood up slowly. Heart steady. Mind clear. Got you. No anger. No shock. Just confirmation. He walked over to his desk. Opened his laptop. Pulled up everything he had been collecting. And started organizing it. Screenshots. Timestamps. Messages. Patterns. Now it wasn't just suspicion. It was proof. Clear. Clean. Undeniable. He sat there for hours. Building it. Piece by piece. Not rushing. Not missing anything. Because when this ended, it would end completely. No room for denial. No room for excuses. Just truth. He leaned back, finally, staring at everything in front of him. All this time, he said quietly. Then, he picked up his phone again. Scrolled to his friend's contact. This time, he didn't hesitate. He hit call. The call lasted less than 10 seconds. Hey, his friend said. What's up? I need you to come to the office, he replied. There was no hesitation in his voice. No emotion. Just calm. Now his friend asked. Yeah, it's important. A short pause. Everything good? Yeah, he said. I just need you here. All right. I'm on my way. The call ended. He set the phone down slowly. Then looked up. His assistant was already watching him. You're sure about this? She asked quietly. He nodded once. Everything is in place. She nodded back. They're here. Waiting. He exhaled slowly. Good. The office felt different that day. Too quiet. Even with people working, typing, moving around, there was a tension underneath it. Like everyone could feel something was about to happen. A few of the staff had been told to stay close. Not everything. Just enough. Stay around. Don't leave yet. That was all they needed to hear. He sat at his desk, laptop open. Everything prepared. Every file. Every message. Every timestamp. Laid out clean. Precise. His assistant stepped closer. You want me to stay? He glanced at her. Then nodded. Yeah. Stay. Minutes passed. Then the door opened. Man, you sounded serious. His friend stopped mid-sentence. He looked around. Noticed the atmosphere. The staff. The silence. What's going on? He asked slower now. Come in, he said calmly. His friend stepped inside. Closed the door behind him. What is this? He asked, forcing a small laugh. Team meeting or something? No, he replied. Just us. His friend looked around again. Then walked closer. You're making this weird, he said. What's going on? He didn't answer immediately. Just turned the laptop slightly. Sit. His friend hesitated for a second. Then pulled a chair and sat down. All right, he said. Talk to me. He leaned back slightly, hands resting calmly on the desk. I'm going to ask you something, he said. And I want a straight answer. His friend nodded slowly. Okay. Have you been using my business accounts without telling me? A pause. Then his friend frowned. What? You heard me. He shook his head, letting out a small laugh. Dude, you gave me access. I know that. So what are you asking? He leaned forward slightly, eyes locked on his. Have you been sending messages to my clients, pretending to be me? Silence. The room felt tighter. One of the staff shifted slightly in the background. His friend glanced around quickly, then back at him. Why would I do that, he said. That's what I want you to tell me. I wouldn't, his friend replied. That doesn't even make sense. He nodded slowly. All right. He turned the laptop toward him. Opened the first file. A message. Clear. Direct. Look at that. His friend leaned in slightly, eyes scanning. That's your account, he said. I didn't send it. So, it was sent at 3:18 p.m. His friend shrugged. Okay. I was in a meeting with 3 people in this room. Silence. He clicked the next file. Another message. Another timestamp. Then another. Each one placed carefully. Each one harder to explain. The room stayed quiet. No one interrupted. No one moved. By the time he got to the fifth one, his friend wasn't smiling anymore. "All right," his friend said slowly. "What are you trying to prove?" He leaned forward again. Voice calm. Controlled. "I'm not trying to prove anything." A small pause. "I already did." Silence. Then he clicked another file. A message from the competitor. The one that mentioned the fake deal. The fake pricing. The information only one person had. "You want to explain that too?" he asked. His friend stared at the screen. Longer this time. Then leaned back. Exhaled. "Okay." The word landed heavy. No denial. No argument. Just that. "Okay," he repeated. His friend ran a hand over his face. "It's not what you think," he said. He let out a quiet laugh. "Then tell me what it is." His friend leaned forward, lowering his voice slightly. "I was helping you." "Helping me?" "Yes," he said. "You were leaving money on the table, making weak calls. I stepped in. You impersonated me. I improved things. And the clients we lost." A pause. "They weren't worth it." One of the staff in the background shifted again. Uncomfortable. He stared at him. Really stared at him. "You decided that on your own?" "I did what needed to be done," his friend snapped. "You're too soft with people sometimes." He shook his head slowly. "No," he said. "You did what you wanted to do." Silence. Then he added calmly. "And the competitor? That did it." His friend froze. Just slightly. "But enough." "The deal I told you about," he continued. "The one that doesn't exist." No response. "The pricing model you somehow shared." Still nothing. "You want to explain that part?" His friend leaned back again. Exhaled. "This is business," he said. He blinked once. "Business?" "Yeah," his friend said. "You think people don't do worse?" "This isn't about people," he replied. "This is about you." "You're acting like I stole from you," his friend said. "I was setting myself up." "For what?" "For when this takes off," he replied. "You think I'll just stand there and watch?" That was it. That was the truth. Not anger. Not revenge. Entitlement. He sat back slowly, letting it settle. "All this time," he said quietly. His friend didn't respond. "You weren't helping me build." Silence. "You were building your own angle." Still silence. He closed the laptop gently. "You know what's crazy?" he said. His friend looked at him. "I would have helped you." A flicker of something crossed his friend's face. But it was gone just as quickly. "You didn't have to do any of this." No response. He leaned back slightly, then gave a small nod. That was the signal. The office door opened. 2 officers stepped in. Calm. Controlled. Like they had been there the whole time. His friend turned instantly. Confused. Then tense. "What's this?" he asked, standing up quickly. "You're under arrest for fraud, identity misrepresentation, and unauthorized access to business systems," one of the officers said clearly. "Wait, what?" his friend snapped. "Are you serious right now?" He didn't move. Didn't react. Just watched. "You set me up," his friend said, turning back to him. He met his eyes. "I gave you chances," he said calmly. "You made your choices." "This is crazy," his friend said, stepping back as the officers moved closer. "You're really doing this?" He didn't answer. The handcuffs clicked. Sharp. Final. And just like that, it was over. No shouting. No chaos. Just consequences. The office stayed quiet as they let him out. A few of the staff looked away. Others just stood still. The door closed behind them. Silence. His assistant exhaled slowly. "Wow," she whispered. He didn't respond. Just sat there for a moment. Then finally leaned back. "It's done." The next few weeks were quiet. But not easy. He rebuilt. Carefully. Properly. Stronger systems. Better boundaries. Clearer control. Clients came back. Some didn't. But something unexpected happened. The story spread. Not the names. Not the details. Just the truth. And people paid attention. Because it was real. Because it was raw. Because it happened. And slowly, the business didn't just recover. It grew. Bigger than before. Stronger than before. And, this time, protected. One night, he sat alone in his office, looking around at everything. Then he shook his head slightly and smiled. He really thought knowing everything about me was power. He leaned back, but he forgot something. His voice dropped. I was still learning how to protect it. If you made it this far, then you already understand something most people don't. Not everyone close to you is on your side. And sometimes, the real challenge isn't just building something. It's protecting it from the people who already know how it works. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think it was harsh to hand him over to the police? Or do you think he deserved it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, real situations, real lessons, no filters, make sure you subscribe, because the next one might be even crazier.